What's up, Reds? Welcome to the Sunday Summary Talk Show on Nothing But Reds. We have a very special show in store for you today. I'm your host, Kyle. With me, as always, is Steve and our very special guest, Craig Holden from the Anfield Agenda. How are you doing, Craig? Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm guessing that the weather's a lot nicer where you are than where I am, but it's not too bad, thank you.
Looking pretty good. And again, thanks for coming on. So, Reds, as always, if you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe down below or at that logo in your bottom right-hand corner and give it a thumbs up if you enjoy the show. And as always, throughout the show, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. We love reading the comments. So, boys, real quick to start off, what a match yesterday. I mean, absolutely brilliant match. And we'll start off with you, Craig. Just instant thoughts on the match.
Was not expecting that type of a scoreline, have to be honest. In my predictions all week, I mean, I watched Leeds a lot in the Championship last season, and they're a very difficult side to break down, very difficult to beat, very good in their jobs, very well drilled by Bielsa, and I was not expecting as open of a game as we got. And fair play to Leeds, because if that's how they're going to play this season, they're going to win a lot of admirers in the Premier League.
100%. Yeah. I mean, they just looked very, very good. They didn't sit back. They were attacking. They were quick. And Steve, you mentioned yesterday when we were talking, they looked like us. They were pressing.
Yeah, absolutely. They reminded me of us. Just didn't give us any time on the ball. We had to make quick decisions. A lot of those decisions became poor because of the pressure that they put on us. But all credit to Leeds. Thoroughly impressed by them. I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. Yeah. I'm glad we got the 3 points because I think we should beat a team like Leeds, especially on match day one. But unbelievable game of football to watch for sure.
Absolutely unbelievable. And here, let me just I'll pull up the stats for everyone here. But watching the game, you think wow, they played incredible. Look, you can see here possession relatively even 48 to 52. But then you look at corners. We had 9 corners, they had none. You don't realize that. Total shots. Leeds defended very well, but they had to make, I think it was 13 blocked shots. We had 22 total shots, 6 on target, and they only had 3 shots on target, 1 off target, right? And that I think it was Click. That finish by Click was just absolutely phenomenal. I think it was their 3rd goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it just unbelievable. And Craig, do you think that Leeds are going to give teams problems this season?
Absolutely. Looking at the statistics here, there's not many teams that are going to come to Anfield this season and shade the possession. There's not many teams going to walk away with more possession. Now, obviously, goals are the only important factor in the game, but as you pointed out, what I was most surprised about with Leeds was how much they committed bodies forward on the counter-attack. There was men making runs into the box from every angle. It was fantastic to see, and to do that for 90 minutes, you have to have a Klopp level of fitness. Now, I've seen some commentators pointing out that maybe they won't be able to keep this up all season. Maybe they'll drop off in the second half. But I'd point out that Leeds played more games in the Championship last season than the Premier League clubs played in the Premier League because it's a 46-game season. So I don't see them slowing down. Absolutely. I read a thread from United fans, and they were already worried about facing Leeds.
That's actually a really good point. You forget that they play more matches down there. Steve, what do you think?
I said this to myself yesterday. I don't think they can sustain this. They're 1,000% going to give teams problems. And it's a good point that you make about the number of games in the Championship versus the Premier League. I didn't even know that, if I'm being honest. But yeah, they're going to be an extremely, extremely tough team to beat. They should finish top half of the table if they can replicate even 75% of what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, even just a little bit, they're going to give teams problems. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Top half of the table, yeah.
The main concern for us, let's talk a little bit about Liverpool because we know Salah, amazing game yesterday, okay? And I'll be the first to admit that I've been critical of Salah when he's on the ball. Sometimes I'm not confident when he's dribbling. I feel like he went through a period where he was just giving it up. But yesterday, I mean, man, he was doing just little touches. He was getting past guys constantly. I mean, his successful dribbles yesterday, I haven't looked, but he must have had 5 or 6 successful dribbles just in the first half. But, man, he was brilliant yesterday, and I hope he can keep this up all year, Craig.
It looked like a man that had a point to prove, a man that was a little bit annoyed about being left out of the nomination for Player of the Year and the PFA Team of the Year to me. And he was on point. His body shape looked fantastic. He looked like, not that he needed to shed a few pounds, but maybe he's a bit leaner. Maybe he's a bit less upper body muscle and a bit leaner this season. He looked phenomenal. And if that's what we're going to get this season from Mohamed Salah, then we're going to be in for a very good season.
Oh my God, it's reminiscent of the 17-18 season a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, Steve, what were you thinking?
Well, I told you last week, or actually in the match preview on Thursday, I said Salah's hungry. You're going to see a different animal come out of
That is true. That is true.
You just know when he feels slighted, or like you said, he felt maybe a little bit of revenge was needed after he wasn't nominated for Player of the Year. And also, the thing I want to add to that is the Golden Boot. He had it his first 2 years in the Premier League. Last year, he didn't. I don't even think he finished top 3. Maybe he did finish 3rd, but he wants to win the awards. He wants to be the best, and I think it's going to be a very, very big year for Mohamed Salah. I'm seeing 25 goals at least.
Oh, well, if this match is any indication on what
Well,
kind
he's
of
got
year,
3.
He's got 3.
He can go on a goal drought and still get 25, so it doesn't matter.
It's crazy.
Does anybody else get nervous when he takes a penalty? Even though we probably have no right to be nervous because he keeps scoring them.
He keeps scoring them, but yes, because he just blasts it. It's never all the way in the corner. He hits it as hard as he can.
So true, though. I get so nervous when he's taking penalties. But Salah was fantastic. I thought Henderson had a good match. I thought our Leeds were bypassing our midfield a little bit, but for the most part, when our midfield was in possession and creating, they were good. They were good. I thought they were good. They weren't excellent or outstanding, but they were good. But let's talk about the back line, okay? Because that is the biggest concern with yesterday, okay? The main thing I want to talk about is the first half. Van Dijk, having another lapse like he did against Arsenal, where he just kind of got lazy. He didn't really his spatial awareness. He didn't know that he was being pressed. Do you think that's any concern, guys? I actually read a stat, and I haven't checked on the stat, but it said Van Dijk has more errors leading to goals since 18-19 than any other defender in the Premier League, which is 13. I don't believe that stat, but let's just keep that in the back of our heads. Craig, what are you thinking? First off, I don't even remember 13 errors leading to goals. I could remember like maybe 3.
Yeah, I'd be a bit dubious about the stat, to be honest. But then again, we don't know. We can't say yes or no either way. But taking yesterday's game, I was watching it. And at the time, I said to myself, he probably has about 5 options here. He can try and head it back to the keeper. If his angle, which maybe his body angle was a little bit wrong for that, maybe head it out for a corner, boot it out for a corner, boot it out for a throw-in. Or option 6, what he tried to do was the little flick to Joe Gomez. And what annoyed me about that was he had a huge margin for error. I mean, he could have overhit it past over Joe Gomez's shoulder, and Joe Gomez could have turned it in on the run. But what he did, I'm just thankful we got the 3 points, because there's no excuses for it. If any other player did that, we wouldn't be hiding behind the excuse of he's the best centre back in the world. It was terrible. If a child did that on the pitch, you'd be annoyed with them if you were coaching a child. So, look, it happens. It happens to the best of them. Maybe the fact that he only plays at 80-85% of his capabilities is what gets him through a season and what allows him to play every single Premier League game, because heaven forbid he had to break a sweat and he had to really show what he's capable of, and he had to open up that 8-cylinder engine of his and really get out into the motorway. He'd probably just be too good. So I don't know. I'm trying to make excuses for the big man because he's Virgil van Dijk, but look, there was his mistake, and then I think Alisson could have done better as well. Not that I'm trying to make out in any way, shape, or form it's anything to do with Alisson, but up to 3 goals, I think that was the most savable.
Yeah, and he did get a leg on it too. Yeah. Steve, what were you thinking when Van Dijk goes to flick it back to Robertson or whatever he was trying to do?
It's lack of respect for the
I heard the commentator say that, and I kind of agree with
I couldn't put a tag on. I couldn't think of how to say it, but I've seen him do this before. I've seen Gomez do this before. I've seen you just know professional athletes do this when they don't really respect their opponent. They'll get a little flashy, and he just wanted to hit that little backwards flick and make it look good, calm as you like, Virgil van Dijk. And it's going to come back to bite you sometimes, and that's what happened yesterday. So when the commentator said, lack of respect for your opponents that'll make Klopp mad. That really resonated with me. I agree with that. I think that's exactly what it was. I don't think it's like an arrogance thing, but you drop your focus a little bit if you're not playing against Manchester United or Manchester City, right? A team like that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent. I do agree that maybe his mental focus wasn't quite there because it was Leeds. First match of the season, no fans.
No fans.
Yeah. But he did the same thing against Arsenal. He kind of just got lazy. You know what? In Arsenal, last season, not the Community Shield, right? That was the 2-1 loss, and he just kind of got lazy, and Alisson got lazy. But another thing that we need to bring up, Klick's goal, Gomez, I just remember like the 18-19 season and even last season when Van Dijk started, our defense was just so organized. Like when Van Dijk was in his like period where no one was dribbling by him, our back line, you couldn't get a ball into the box. Van Dijk was there. He was clearing everything. Gomez was there. Matip was there. Yesterday, it just seemed like we were so unorganized. And with Klick's goal is what I was getting to. They just split. Gomez and Van Dijk just split apart, and Gomez had to mark like 2 or 3 people. And Klick had time to take a nice touch and then just finish. I mean, for me, it's not worrisome because, like you guys said, Van Dijk is a world-class defender. But looking forward, do you think when we do play teams like City, based on what Arsenal was doing yesterday, Arsenal had a good match yesterday. Do you think we're looking at some problems on the defensive end? Do you think potentially, do we need to bring in some more cover? Because yesterday we had all 3 of our center back options on the field at one point, and that worried me. Craig, what do you think?
Yeah, when Trent went off, Matthew came on, you're spot on. We did have the 3 guys on the pitch. Yes, I mean, the short answer is yes, we do need to go out there and get cover because with all due respect to Gomez and Matip, they are injury prone, albeit Matip maybe in the shorter term basis with muscle injuries and stuff, and Joe has been unfortunate, but there's got to be clamours now for Joe Gomez to be dropped and for Joe Matip to come in and partner him. I've already seen people speaking about this. There was already a debate. I mean, Liverpool fans were split about who's the better partner for Van Dijk. I would always say Gomez, but I would say Matip's probably a safer pair of hands. But yes, we do. You can't go into a season. Pep tried it with Manchester City and he ended up having to play Fernandinho at centre-back. It just doesn't work out. And if you're having to take, in our case, it will probably be Fabinho out of the holding midfield position, one of the best in the league in his position, to bring him back to play centre-back, to force Hendo back into playing the 6 again, it's not ideal over what would we maybe need to spend, between 15 and 20 million pounds to go out there and get a centre-back.
Maybe. I mean, if Lovren went for, 10 or 11, whatever he went for, maybe 15,
And I suppose we're talking about that in a window where we're already frustrated, so it only intensifies the feeling amongst Liverpool fans that we can see these glaring errors. Why aren't we addressing them?
Right.
Steve.
Yeah, I mean, bringing another center back, we've been talking about it for a while. It's, I think Gomez is the better player than Matip.
You've been very vocal about that.
Yeah, and I think, like, when we are in form, when our team is on a run of games, like last year, what did we win, like 15 straight or something insane like that?
Something insane. We're still 60 unbeaten at Anfield, which is remarkable.
Up until we drew United, we were undefeated for like the first 15 or 20 games.
Wait, what? Are you talking about United at Old Trafford? Okay, I got you.
Last season,
Martin Atkinson robbed us.
What's that? Shout out Adam Milan, by the way.
Where Martin Atkinson robbed us.
Yeah.
The 1-1.
I still think Origi, that was a foul on Origi. He did get kicked, but anyways.
Enough about that. But shout out Adam Milana for that goal.
Yeah.
I mean, just bringing another center back, like, it's pretty cut and dry.
It doesn't even need to be anyone
around to make it work. Like, we don't want to drop Fabinho back there. You're right. He needs to play his role. He can drop back in a pinch. Like, I think he's played center back for us like maybe twice since he's been here. But like only in a pinch. You never want to rely on that because it's a good point that you make about Manchester City. Their defense was in shambles with Fernandinho back there. Yeah. It's just not his position. So yeah, bring in another center back. I think it's clear we need another one at least for cover.
Dude, bring Ragnar Klavan back. I swear to God, I would be completely happy with that man coming back.
We love Ragnar Klavan, by the way, here.
Yeah.
Hey, so does the guy that runs the channel with me. He's forever talking about Klavan.
He's amazing, man.
What a player.
he would just be plugged in, and I don't think he ever made a mistake. What a guy.
Oh man.
But man, I'll tell you what though, as much as I'm a fan of Trent, yesterday Trent looked a little off, and it really showed that he didn't have a preseason to prepare. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, he was just Harrison, I think, Jack Harrison, that one, the first goal. I mean, Trent didn't know what to do. He was the ball was getting touched all around him. He just couldn't defend it. But I think that'll come, you know. But more so on that, when Fabinho came in, I know, Steve, you mentioned it. When Fabinho came in, we looked like we had more of a spine. Like, don't get me wrong, Henderson was great. Yes, I thought Henderson was great. But Fabinho coming in, I think we missed Fabinho a little bit. And I think Fabinho will get the nod come, the next match. What do you guys think?
Yeah, sorry, I'll go first here because I was chatting about it yesterday. I said that, and I think this goes for most of our starting lineup, our 11. Let's just say our 11 is
okay.
Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho in the midfield. And then front three, back four, Gomez or Matip, however you like. When one person is missing, I feel like we can tell. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. If Henderson's out, we're like, wow, well, where's our engine? Like, when Fabinho's out, I felt like we were just disorganized in the middle of the field. You know, like, when Salah's out, you're like, wow, I really wish we had that creativity up the right side. It's just like, our pieces fit so well together that when you take one out, I think it can be glaring sometimes, especially against a side like Leeds. It's not going to park 10 men.
Yeah, Leeds will expose it. Yeah.
It was an open game, and I think it was very evident that we didn't have that rock right there sitting in front of the back four, cleaning everything up. So, yeah, I definitely think that. Yeah, I was surprised. When they put the lineup out, I messaged you, and I was like, no Fabinho? That's weird.
That did surprise
me. Like, game one, we need to have him in there, but...
Yeah. Did that surprise you, Craig, that Fabinho wasn't in the lineup?
Yeah, in my predicted 11, I hadn't got a single one of those midfield trio in my predicted 11. I'd gone for Fabinho, Jordan Henderson, and I thought that he would like to... Or, excuse me, I'd gone for Fabinho, James Milner, and I thought that he might want to go on the attacking foot and put Takumi Minamino up behind the front three. I got it completely wrong. So, yeah, I was very, very shocked, particularly with Hendo having no preseason minutes and no international minutes, so nothing from Jordan Henderson. Milner had been there, obviously, through the entire training camp, didn't have international duty against Leeds as well. I thought it was set up for him. Fabinho played minutes in preseason, again, no international duty, so I thought he would have got some time. Yeah. Very shocked at the midfield the way it was. But I have to be honest, when I looked at the starting 11, I had no complaints, so I'm not going to look back and think that, I got it all right. No, I looked at the 11, I turned to Connor and I said, I've no complaints about that when the team was announced.
And it's difficult to guess a Klopp starting 11. I don't think I've ever been right. And a lot of people think that Klopp is like Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner. Like, that's his, like, go-to. But he mixes it up a lot more than people think. And but I agree. I thought Keita should have started. And I completely agree that Minamino was open. It could have been Minamino getting a start in the midfield because him and Keita were the standouts, in my opinion, in preseason. So, yeah, it was just to sum everything up, guys. I mean, yesterday, I just enjoyed the match. It was stressful at times. And I know Steve, you and I were getting a lot of criticism on our match preview because to be fair, we were writing Leeds off. Okay, I was writing Leeds off. I wasn't exactly watching them when they were in the championship. But I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I was completely wrong about Leeds. Leeds can play some football.
Yes. Yes, I am thoroughly impressed with Leeds, and they're an exciting team to watch. I'm going to watch them this year.
Yeah.
I still think we'll beat them again.
It'll be a good match because by then, who knows, there may be fans. And I've heard that their stadium is like one of the loudest in the country.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Ellen Road is definitely.
Ellen Road, that's what it is. Thank you, Craig. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bielsa, I had heard about Bielsa here and there, but all the talk this week really opened my eyes to like what kind of person he is.
Yeah.
And he has like no trophies to show for it, but he's just a football icon.
He's brilliant. He loves the sport, you know, and that's what you need in a manager.
Just the little stories about like what he does at the training ground, and it's really cool. But yeah, Leeds is Leeds is an exciting team to watch.
They are, aren't
When
they?
you look at the last few teams that have come up and like made a splash in the Premier League, you got Wolves a few years ago, right? Sheffield United last year. Like Leeds is just the next one up, but they're more exciting to watch, in my opinion, than those other teams.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and you always got to respect a team that comes up and plays their style of football and doesn't really conform to what they expect the Premier League to be. You know, like a team that just sits back and just absorbs pressure because they're afraid to be exposed if they're on the counterattack and they're open at the back. You know what I mean? So you just got to respect that, and I agree. I think I may watch some of those games as well. But boys, let's move on. So like Wijnaldum, with his match yesterday, okay, we know during the week Klopp had come out and said, well, excuse me, let's start with the Sky Sports article that said Klopp and Wijnaldum had met and that the talks were positive. And then in the pre-match press conference, okay, you know, he came out and said everything's good on our end, right? Everything's positive. He like it's always been good. He said I've had 500 or 600 talks with him, and because I mean, people were saying you had to talk with Genie. He's like, yeah, I talked with Genie 500 times since he's been here. So I don't know what to believe anymore. And I've made some videos about this during the week. Like, I want Genie to stay, of course. I think every Liverpool fan will agree with me. I love Genie Wijnaldum. I think he's been a staple in the side. I have nothing bad to say about Genie. Class act, everything. And based on this article, things are looking positive. But, you know, 2 weeks ago, it sounded like he wanted to leave, like he was rejecting new contracts. You know, have you guys heard anything to the contrary? You start with Craig.
Yes. Firstly, I would never base much belief in Sky Sports transfer rumours, so I'd push that to one side. It's a very interesting situation because how he allowed somebody as important as Gini Wijnaldum to get to the final year of his contract is unacceptable. Let's start with that. The club have been fantastic in rewarding players with contracts for performances that they've deserved. The club went out there, won the Champions League, won the Premier League, and the players were rewarded with incentivised contracts, pay rises, and everybody deserved them. We have a high wage bill, but yet we've got nobody on £300,000, £400,000 a week. So to hear that Genie, and everything that I'd heard was about the length of contract. It was nothing to do with the wages. It was nothing to do with Genie's lack of ambition from the club, because clearly the ambition is there. So it seemed to be about Genie being 29 years of age and the club not wanting to give him, I think, maybe a 4-year contract at that age. And he wanted, whatever it was 1 year longer than the club were willing to give. Now, obviously the situation became more intriguing when Ronald Koeman got the Barcelona job.
Right.
Well, he's only going to have that Barcelona job for 10 months because Xavi is coming in as the next manager of Barcelona. So Koeman's on a short stay of execution there, no matter what happens. So what will happen is if we sign Gini Wijnaldum to a new contract and we don't go after Thiago, he's going to go to Barcelona in January. He's going to sign a pre-contract there because he's a very proud person. And speaking to Jan Agafjordhoff on our channel and reading up on other journalists from around Europe, Fabrizio Romano and Christian Falk from Bild, they all seem to suggest that he's been told by Liverpool that the deal is going to be done. If it doesn't get done, he'll be pretty annoyed because he's kind of hung himself out to dry, Thiago, with Bayern Munich. And he said his goodbyes at the end of season party. He brought his family there. He's very good friends with Lewandowski. He told Hansi Flick he's leaving. He told the board he's leaving. But it started to get interesting to me when he did his post-match interview with Spain. And he turned, I'm sorry that this isn't all about Genie, but to me, they all knit in together.
That's fine.
To me, he did his post-match interview and he kind of said nothing's decided yet. So that was the first warning sign about Thiago to me, because it sounded like, well, he's leaving the door open here for a move to Bayern, or in case he's stuck at Bayern Munich. Now, Barcelona did their part when they moved on a midfielder to Sevilla. Ivan Rakitic moved on. That freed up their space, and we all assumed that Gini Wijnaldum was going to take that up. But as you touched on earlier on, we're all very, very happy for Gini Wijnaldum to stay at Liverpool because he's brilliant. He's played... Only Bobby Firmino's played more minutes in the Premier League since 16-17 for Jurgen Klopp than Gini Wijnaldum. So he's definitely a go-to. So I think he deserves his contract. If he gets his contract, I don't think we'll see Thiago, but I'm okay with that because I think Gini has earned this respect and he has earned the contract that he's after. I mean, he's not asking for the sun, moon and stars. I think he should be given it.
I most certainly agree with you. Stephen?
I have nothing to add. That was Beautifully said. I think he deserves it. Like he's been such a solid player for us, such a solid teammate, guy in the changing room. You know, we need it. We need to keep him. And I the first point that you made is great because I used to think this as well. Like, how did we even get to this point? How do you allow something like this to happen? This doesn't happen with anybody else. You lock them up quicker. You give them contracts sooner. You give them contract extensions. You don't want to get down to the nitty gritty when there's a time crunch. And no one in their right mind wants to go to Barcelona right now. So, like, does Genie want to stay? I would say, of course, he wants to stay. So, and yeah, I think Liverpool should reward him with whatever he wants, within reason, of course.
Yeah, and really, the last person we gave a contract to at that age, from what I'm aware, James Milner, we offered James Milner when he came over the 3-year deal. So the 3-year deal is pretty standard, but Wijnaldum, I feel like I don't see, in kind of what you said to Craig, it's just the length of the contract. Give him, if he wants a 4-year deal, give him a 4-year deal. You know what I mean? I mean, what are the he's going to be playing until most players now play till they're 35-ish, you know, give or take a year or two. So I don't really see the risk with that. And I completely agree with both of you. Why wait until the last minute, especially Wijnaldum? We've given contract extensions to Trent, Van Dijk, Salah, all of our main players. You know, Wijnaldum, if he plays just as important of a role as all those guys, maybe not as productive, but just as important of a role to the squad, got to give him an extension. I think it'll happen, and if it happens, I'm not going to sweat Thiago, just like I'm not sweating Timo Werner anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it happens and it's over. You know what I mean? But guys, do you have any closing thoughts on anything that we discussed today? Looking forward to future matches and everything. Craig, we'll start with you.
Just to touch on your contract situation, even Origi got a new contract.
Right, exactly. That's a great point.
As soon as he scored in the Champions League, I knew that was coming.
They were writing it up.
To be fair to Divock could have left us for free. So again, he showed loyalty by signing that contract. So all credit to him. But no, I think we've covered everything today, guys. I'm very much just happy to be back talking about football because transfers were getting a bit tense. I'm not going to lie, folks. It was getting tense.
I'm so happy that football is back as well. What a game to start it off. Credit to Leeds again, but so glad that we walked away with the 3 points and on to the next match.
Yeah, on to the next match, boys. And again, Craig, I really appreciate you being here. I hope all of our viewers enjoyed this show. And if you haven't, I don't know if you're living under a rock or something, but check out the Anfield Agenda. Great streams, great place for all the Liverpool fans to go and chat as well. And just, Craig, thank you for being here with us. And until next time, Reds, take care.